Hello and welcome, guys. We are back, and it's a little bit bittersweet because this is the last Woo Woo Wednesday of 2022. Salty, how are you doing? I think you're muted. Sorry, honey.
I've never done this before. Thank you, Purple Valkyrie. I'm really nervous. This is the first time I've ever been on YouTube. So I need guidance you could give me, like unmuting yourself. You know, I don't know how to do that. So thank you. I am, of course, a moron, as usual. I wanted to say, this is the last wild, weird, wonderful woo-woo Wednesday of what has been a not so great year for me. You know, I mean, not to bring everybody down. I went looking for Bigfoot, didn't see him. We got a lot of bad reports about Bigfoot this year. That pisses me off. And then something happened with one of my favorite paranormal researchers. Put out a big movie. Let's talk about it later in the show because Purple doesn't know how to talk about it. I don't know how to talk about it. But we're going to talk about that. Disappointing. But Purple Valkyrie, I want to be the first to wish you a very happy 2023 and Merry Christmas. Did you get good presents? That's what everybody wants to know. Everybody in chat, what did you get for Christmas? Did you get cool stuff? That's what I want to know.
Yes, I had an amazing Christmas. Thank you. I'm actually looking forward to 2023. As you say, 2022 was a bit of a weird one. I think it's one that a lot of people will be wanting to put behind them, but had an amazing Christmas. Looking forward to New Year. So
Last Christmas, I gave you my heart. If I hear that song one more time, I probably will have an aneurysm. Really, I for everyone out there, thank you for showing up to so many of these shows. Yes. There's a lot of people who try and cover paranormal stuff and woo-woo. Only the audience can tell you if you're good at it. I can sit here and think we do a pretty darn good job, especially Purple Valkyrie. You know, when I'm C on a good day, C minus. But there's a lot of people who like to copy things. You see that a lot on YouTube. And then what it ends up doing is it kind of dilutes the audience, because if you tune into one group of people who just aren't very good at it, then they're like, screw it. Nobody on YouTube is any good at anything. But I got very lucky because I get to work with Purple Valkyrie on this. I keep wanting Zach7 to jump on this, but our man is always busy. There's no slam on Zach's. I want to shout this out because I think he's insane to do this, but our man Zach7 is doing a 12-hour marathon stream on the 30th. I'm going to be part of that for a number of hours. He's going to be covering the 20th anniversary of Peter Jackson's The Two Towers. So be sure to check your calendars for that. I think I've covered all the housekeeping I need to, Purple Valkyrie.
Yes, and please check out Salty's video that he put out earlier today. You see,
I have gotten hate. I love it. I don't make videos to get hate. I don't.
It's interesting.
But I definitely have touched a nerve in the Indian subcontinent, and not the way that Flaccid Phoenix touches the nerves. But no disrespect, dude. I'm just messing with you. But yeah, who knew that there were so many M. Night Shyamalan? How do you say it, Purple Valkyrie? Shyamalan Ding Dong.
That's it. Yeah, you got it.
Anyway, he's got a new movie out. If you want to watch my trailer, yeah. Anyway, let's talk about woo woo.
It is. Let me say hey to people first, because we've got a lot of people in the chat. Great to see everybody. We've got our favourite vampire, Nosferatu. Great to
Hail.
see you. We've
Hail.
got TZ Burton. Hello there. We've got I hope I pronounced that right. Always makes me smile. Leah Rose, hello, lovely. We've got Daniel, great to see you. We've got some of our UK friends. We've got Gary, great to see you as always. And Dadma Walking 55, hello there. We've got Zombie Box Reviews as well. Hello, my friend.
Cheers.
Good to see you.
And thanks to everybody who popped on all the crazy Christmas shows that were kind of popping up. And there was karaoke and utter madness. And you guys aren't going to believe this, but you know what YouTube did to my video and Purple's video? They copyright claimed us for doing karaoke music. The whole damn show. You know, you make like 4 cents. Doing like an hour and a half live stream if you're lucky, and those assholes took the 4 cents, and I'm like, what? Because I did the Pogues
and this
in
wasn't
New York?
The channels, we will say, this isn't them coming after us for using their content. This was YouTube. So
yeah,
wow. That's right. You said Salty's a Sasquatch. He just shaves and is deflecting, so nobody.
It's true. From this part down, I'm all hairy. You guys, that's why I never stand up, because the rest, it looks like I'm a walking brown shag carpet. You know what I mean? Like a really gross one. So thanks for outing me, Dick.
We've got a question. It says, Salty, what does the C stand for in Traveling C?
Well, my first name is Corey. And I think you can do the complicated equation from there. So, yeah.
And thank you, Nosferatu. It was fun. We had a great time doing some karaoke. But we're not talking karaoke today. It is woo-woo. And yes, the night is young and we still haven't had New Year's yet. But the day, it is Wednesday. It is woo-woo. So I thought I would kick it off, Salty, if that's okay, with a little bit of megalith. So we talked, I think it was on Zach's show, actually, we talked a little bit about Stonehenge, and I thought what I would do is give a quick rundown to anybody who isn't familiar with them, some of the other megalithic sites that we've got in the UK. Mainly, I just want to show some really cool pictures, because, hey,
I know what that is.
That's me.
That's the donut henge of Akron, Ohio. Chat, if you've been there, let us know how it was. I'm still not convinced that is a powdered donut. I think it is a glazed, but this is where the experts disagree.
You think it's like the pyramids and that the glaze came off after the years? Yes. That makes sense. It's a big hole. What can I say?
Just like Marvel Phase 5, it's a big hole. And Disney. And Paramount and Netflix.
Guys, don't be looking to mainstream for entertainment for next year. Trust me. But let's see what we've got. So we know all about Stonehenge. You know what that looks like. But we've got the Avebury Stone Circle, which I've actually visited. All of these stone circles are out in the middle of fields and things. You just hop over a fence or walk down a path, and you can get to them. And you can put your hands on them if you want, and you can get up close to all of them. They're really cool, especially when you see them in this kind of misty kind of light.
I envy you this. I do. I mean, the United States is a young country, and again, I'm going to say what I say every show, that I am convinced beyond a shadow of a doubt that here in North America, we had very similar structures, if not mirror structures or sister structures to some of these other ones, whether they be in Mesolithic America, whether they be in Asia, whether they be in Eastern, Western Europe, or Britannia. We had henges here. We had the same level of technology that was out there, and then something happened. Something happened, and literally like a chalkboard erased all of what was North American culture. And thanks to people like Graham Hancock, Randall Carlson, other people that are looking into this stuff, we're starting to maybe get little bits and pieces of information. But it's interesting, Purple Valkyrie, and I'll shut up, but they still are writing articles calling Randall Carlson a peddler of pseudoscience for his Netflix show.
Yeah, poor Graham Hancock is really, really getting hammered at the moment.
I mean, and here's the thing: if we strip away all of the varnish of this ass hattery, let's be honest, what this is about is the only way we get to proceed into the hellish communist death camp that is the Great Reset is if we trust the experts blindly. Do you remember that when we had 2 weeks to slow the spread?
I remember that. Yeah, how's that going?
That's why they fear people like Randall Carlson. The one thing that our enemies, and they are our enemies, they act and they want us dead, don't want is us to be critical and come together and think on our own. That's why they've engineered an entire generation of children, or arguably two, to be what they are. All right, let me shut up. Let's talk about woo-woo.
Agreed. And just quickly, Nosferatu says, I want to do a ghost hunting excursion to an Indian burial ground with Zach, Salty, and Gray. I would like the four of you to go to the Clown Motel in Nevada.
No. I'll be in the parking lot.
The parking lot's got a graveyard in it, Salty.
And by the parking lot, I mean the parking lot of the airport in Vegas where I drop you guys off to get the rental car. Okay. I will go there. I will go there if I get to have 2A. And the other thing is I don't want the diverse lesbian Velma cosplayer with us on this adventure. I don't want that. If there's other, we get sexy Velma cosplayer, sexy Daphne cosplayer to join, chat, hello. I'm in 100%. But yeah,
I'll leave it up to the other three to fight it out between themselves who gets to play what character.
No, this isn't a democracy. No.
But let's see. So I can't even remember what I was talking about. Oh yeah, hills and holes and things. Okay, so Salisbury Hill is also in Wiltshire, which is right by Stonehenge. So this can be seen. You can't climb up it. I wouldn't recommend it, at least. It's very, very steep, but it's a prehistoric site. It's thought to be it's the largest artificial mound in Europe from the prehistoric period. It's thought to be a burial structure.
It's
so
fascinating
I would
because there are dozens that we know about of things like that in China. They're in China. And in some cases, Mao, communism. They just haven't done it right yet.
They'll get it right next time.
They'll get it right this totally. Yeah, especially with Joey B running that shit show. No, but there are countless mounds like this and then pyramidal mounds all over Asia, but we can't know about them. We can't explore them. We can't go into them. And they were bulldozed here. People like they got a field. They're like, oh, there's a mound, and they're like, get out there and dig that there mound up. I got to plant me some corn. That happened here. It happened in North America. I'm not defending, and I think it's bullshit, but it happened. But if you look in the lower Ohio, Mississippi Valley area, thank God some of these things have survived.
Yes, I mean, you've got a few surviving structures. I suppose the most famous is the Serpent Mound that I can think of off the top of my head, which has been protected and people, it's roped off now and it's under, you can't go near the thing, which I guess I get it because these things are so precious. But these places, especially ones in the UK, other than Stonehenge, which you used to be able to walk around and touch the stones, but because people are assholes and they would chip bits off the stones, they had to put a perimeter around it, but you can still walk around the outside. But all of the other ones are within distance. If they're not on private land, you can actually get to them. So the same with this one, which is in Cornwall, which is the Carwenen quilt. It's a dolmen, which once sat in a field a few miles outside of Cornwall. It's said to be about 5,000 years old, but unfortunately it collapsed in 1967, but they did actually manage to restore it. So what I think happened is one of these stones actually collapsed and then the whole thing went sideways. Because
I'm going to blame some goddamn dirty hippie coming up there and screwing around with it, because they wrecked everything in the 60s, Purple Valkyrie. They really did.
Now, this is the one that I wanted to talk about because you guys have probably recognized this fella. He is obviously the Cern Abbas giant in Dorchester, known as the Roof Man. He is one of the best known hill figures, and that is something that the UK has a lot of, and most of them have been lost over the years because of farming. People have kind of ploughed the fields, or forests have grown up and destroyed them, but a few of them still remain, and one of the most famous is the Cern Abbas giant. And yes, every year people do go around and fill in his outline, all of his outline, with fresh chalk, so you can see him.
I bet you if Ezra Miller ever went there, he'd want to be the tip of that guy's penis. I bet you that's what Ezra would do.
It
Just
got
gonna say.
so bad a few decades ago, they actually had to stop people from going to him to make out, because it said that, if you do the deed on top of him, it's supposed to bring good luck and fertility.
I mean, bravo. That's some girth.
Yeah.
Go England. You got girth and length, ladies.
It's impressive. What can I say? But I just wanted to bring up a few of these. I thought it was fun to see, and I forget, even myself living in the UK, just how many of these sites we actually do have, and how many of them, and we talked about it in the past as well, all link up. They either follow the solstices, or they follow ley lines. And if you overlay a map of the UK with all of these, you can see how many of them link together. It is fascinating.
It is interesting to see these pictures with all of the geoengineering in the sky, all those lines that they say are jet exhaust, which don't go anywhere and then spread and then reflect in the sunshine.
Natural. Yeah.
And then you find your weather is screwed up for a couple days, but that's just a conspiracy theory, even though the UN said they're doing it. So we can't talk about that. Sorry.
And then there's the famous Stonehenge, and this one I will bring up as well because everyone likes a gigantic erect stone. This is the Rudstone monolith and church. It's over 25 feet high. So there you go. And incidentally, the previous picture of the guy on the in the chalk outline, he was 8 meters long, and that was just part of him. That's not the whole figure.
Are you saying his drawn penis
Yes.
was 24 feet high?
Uh-huh. Yes.
Wow. I feel woefully inadequate. Thank you.
But I thought I would share those with you guys because everybody likes to look at pictures, and I would like to do a show, or at least do a rundown of some of the most famous of the chalk figures, because I find them fascinating. But Salty, what have you got for us?
I've got a lot of crazy stuff, and as usual, it's not conspiracy theory. It is conspiracy fact. This comes to us from the American First Report, and this came out a few days ago. Purple Valkyrie, you actually sent this to me. This is on December 26th. If you thought 2022 was done trying to kill you, you'd be wrong. The mysterious shockwave has cracked the Earth's magnetosphere. No, this is not the weekly world news. This is happening. Our Earth's magnetosphere is ruptured, and that means Earth is being exposed to dangerous radiation from space for hours at a time. So a mysterious shockwave cracked the Earth's magnetosphere on December 19th. The magnetosphere is the region of the planet that protects us from all of the shit that will cook us if we didn't have the atmosphere that we did. That's one of the reasons why, look at Mars. Without an atmosphere, you go out there, you're going to get cooked. You're going to get cancer, if not outright fried, like a Hot Pocket left in a microwave for 3 hours. That is a true story. Now, nobody really knows where this shockwave come from, which makes you feel even better, doesn't it? Thank God we have diversity and representation at NASA, though.
It's almost like all those times they keep missing those asteroids that just kind of skim past us and say, oh,
nobody has time to do this shit. Nobody has time for this white privilege astronomy stuff. We have to have we have to have know your privilege and whatever, and just, menstruating day at NASA, all this stuff. Nobody has time for this. So nobody knows where the hell the shockwave came from, but astronomers think it came from an ejection of highly magnetized superheated gas discharged from our sun, which you may have heard me use this acronym before, is a CME. What is a CME? A CME is a coronal mass ejection. Now, these things have happened before. There was something called the Carrington event in the late 1800s, which the same type of event occurred at a much larger scale. Now, of course, then we didn't have electricity. We didn't have telephones and cell phones and computers. They had copper telegraph lines strung for hundreds of miles along railroad tracks. Those copper wires along radio tracks burst into flames. Look this story up. just from the energy and radiation released by a CME from the sun. Well, this shit's happening again, and surprise, everybody's asleep at the switch talking about pronouns at NASA and other places. So according to Space Weather, the ejection may have been unleashed by a certain sunspot. You guys look this up.
May have been.
Yeah, no, it was Lizzo. She went to Chipotle, which fired at least 8 solar flares into space on December 14th, and it took that long to travel here. Now, these caused blackouts over the Atlantic Ocean. If you're on an island, I guess you're screwed, and if you're on a jet, well, I think we've heard about that. But scientists don't want to alarm anybody. But the crack can remain open for hours and allows these dangerous radioactive solar winds to come through. Now, it's not just the solar winds, it's the X-rays, it's all of these other crazy cosmic rays that if we didn't have a functioning atmosphere and magnetosphere would literally sterilize the surface of the Earth like a UV light. That's why if you put something under a UV light for a long time, it kills all the germs, all the bacteria, all the viruses. We do the same to us, plants, animals, everything, every organism down to the one-celled amoeba would be eradicated without this magnetosphere. And that's why it's a big deal. Now, NASA, Diversity, Equity, and Inclusion Central says that a probe caught the eruptions from the sunspot, and there is a picture where, whenever the sun erupts and they use these reverse X-ray cameras, the darker spots are the higher energy sunspots. Brilliant flashes of light were spotted coming from the sunspot, which probably sent this damn thing toward the Earth. Now, as this article says, CMEs can expel billions of tons of coronal matter at the Earth's surface. It contains plasma as well as weird magnetized stuff that they like to think they understand, but I'm pretty sure they don't. This can also cause very powerful auroras, as well as take out all the shit that's floating in space, all the satellites and Starlink and God knows what else they got up there. That could all be fried in an instant.
So if you see a bunch of streaking lights across the sky, it's probably not UFOs, it's the satellites falling back into orbit.
This is just nuts. The magnetosphere, it stretches for thousands of miles into space outside of the planet. It's not this wafer thin cookie. It's actually kind of this fluffy magnetosphere layer that goes out. And obviously it affects a great many things. The magnetosphere affects compasses, affects GPS, affects animal migration. Ducks, elk, deer, whales, sharks, everything that migrates. Now, the sun appears to be moving into an active period from its 11-year lesser solar cycle. Regardless of what the international UN climate horseshit bought-off panel says, the sun is the #1 driver of climate and weather on the planet. Of course, if I say that, I will probably be disappeared, and you think I'm kidding, but this happens. What is fascinating is the thing that I talked about earlier, like the Carrington event in the 18th century, happened when people were around, but didn't happen when people were so damn dependent on technology.
Yes, and Whitechapel said as well, welcome back to the Dark Ages, and it's absolutely right.
I take it. I'll take it now. You ask Purple Valkyrie, you ask Zax and everybody I live stream with, we are losing it like F the world and screw this. I'm not saying I want the world to end because Bill Gates is on top of that. What I am saying is that I think we need a reset of that doesn't involve inbred old banking families from Europe working with high tech to create
reset,
a dystopia.
but not a great one. Yes.
Yeah. I mean, what we need to do is go back to where there's 2 genders. Maybe we have the nuclear family. Maybe we just kind of do things that involve more being in nature. And yeah, would our lifespans go down? Probably. But where we would be is we would be closer to being a human and not transhuman. And I think it's a death. I think it's worse than death, what they're doing right now with transhumanist stuff, especially with the younglings, as we say. Anyway, there's a whole bunch of different types of CMEs. The X class is the most powerful. Then there's M class. Now, it was an M class that hit us on December 14th. The shock waves from the sun can trigger geomagnetic storms similar to the character event. That's what I just said. That's why this was a big deal. After crashing into the Earth, a strong stream of solar particles fried telegraph systems around the globe back in the 1800s, and it created auroras brighter than the light of a full moon that appeared as far south almost as the equator. It's a lot of energy. If a similar incident occurred today, scientists warned it would make trillions of dollars worth of damage, spark widespread blackouts, and imperil thousands of lives. Your ATM card wouldn't work. If you're reliant on medical devices to be alive, those wouldn't work. There's a lot of debate whether your cars would start. If you have a car before 1976, probably would start.
What about one that you have to plug in to charge?
Yeah, your Tesla. There's a scientific term for that. Oh yeah, shit out of luck. That's what that is. Yeah, keep that gas-powered lawnmower around, buddy. You know what I mean? There's something that you can do called wood gas engines, and if you have a combustion engine, especially with a carburetor in an older vehicle, there's something that you can do to make it run off of wood gas. Boy, they don't want you to know this, do they? They don't want you to know this shit. Anyway, I thought this was fascinating, Purple Valkyrie.
That is fascinating. What's even more fascinating, Salty, is, as you correctly said, this happened several days ago, and I haven't heard anything about it on the mainstream news. Nobody's talked about it. Nobody's mentioned it.
No, I think a whole generation's energy has gone into calling us racist for hating the piece of shit that is Blood Origin on Netflix. I'll tell you what. There's something called natural selection, and should something like this happen, as terrible as it would be, and I know this sounds terrible. I know it sounds terrible. People are going to say I'm black-pilled, and I'm not. I am really, really red-pilled. We need to thin the herd. We need to go back to those who have something to offer civilization besides gender study and constant bitching and complaining. We need to get back to making things, to being part of tribes, to having a role, to all having to pull our own weight, and not in a commie way, not in an equity, poverty, eating bugs way, but in an equality way, where you all have an opportunity to do the right thing, to pull your own weight, to be a good person, to be part of a community. And if you're not, well, that's called natural selection. I'm Rush Limbaugh. Thanks for tuning in. Sorry, I'll stop talking.
Chatter right there with you, Salty. Gary, it says Flintstone, that Tesla. Good idea.
The Flintstones have a yabba dabba doo, a dabba doo dun.
TZ Burton says, I need to learn to ride a horse. It's been a while. I could probably do the same as well.
The riding part is easy. It's the falling off part that you never get used to, all right? Like the constant jarring into, if you have junk, and not the fake junk, right? Like the real junk you're born with. You got to learn how to deal with that, but it really hurts your ass. Really. But some chicks really get off, ladies, on horseback riding. Same thing with sitting on washing machines. It's weird.
I'm far too innocent to know what Salty's referring to there, but I will say hello to our favourite polar bear. Great to see you, and I forgot to say a big thank you to SJ Almighty, who has joined us as well. I couldn't pull it up because it was too far back in the chat, but thank you so much. Great
I talked too much, guys. Sorry.
Oh no, this was before we went live. This was
okay.
way back, but thank you. I really appreciate you guys. So
I have one thing, and I'm going to shut up, and that is Zax. Zax, if you're still here, I shouted out your 12-hour suicide mission of watching the Two Towers, which is going to be amazing. There are some really big, cool YouTubers, some people that Purple and I have both met and have relationships with that are going to be on that show. I'm going to be on that show. But I did want to shout out the woo-woo show that Zax did for Christmas that's still out there. Cameron Pasha was there, along with a psychic, and I apologize, I forgot her name. She actually was showing us her own documented paranormal research and capturing spirit energy, weird things on video, weird noises. It was a fascinating discussion, but I really enjoyed talking to Cameron Pasha about monoliths and megaliths and how it relates to the solstice. I'm pretty darn sure you're going to see Cameron Pasha on the show again, just so we can concentrate on that stuff, because he's great to work with. He really is.
He is. It was a fantastic show, and it went on for about 3 hours, and I don't think we wanted it to end. It was such a good conversation. But let me bring this up because I've got a murder mystery for you guys.
Pfizer did it.
Quite possibly. So this is actually it's been over 75 years and nobody knows who killed this lady. So it says the mysterious murder of Bella, the Witch Elm Lady. Now this is in the UK. This is actually very close to where I live. And it says, was she killed as a black magic sacrifice, or was she killed because she was a German spy?
Ooh.
Now this is what was found, and I will tell you the story of how she was found. So in 1943, a group of boys went hunting in some privately owned woods where they found a skull inside the trunk of a wych elm tree in England.
Wow.
One of the boys...
I have a question.
Yep.
What is a wych elm and why is it spelled like that? Like, what makes that elm unique, Purple Valkyrie?
If there's a picture of it, there it is. So this is a wych elm. So this is where it was found.
If you're going to find a skull, that's the tree to find it in. Thank you, Purple Valkyrie.
That's the tree, yeah, that's it. And this tree still stands, if I remember correctly. It's still in the woods. It's on private land, so you can't really get to it, but people still do. But I'll get back to that in just a moment, just to give you a little bit of background. So eventually, it took a while because they didn't want to get in trouble, but the boys did report to the police that they had found this skull. And then obviously, it really kind of took off. The police made an arduous effort to detangle the mysterious death. Tests on the skull proved that it was the body of a lady. The rest of her was actually found in the hollow of the trunk of the tree, except her left hand, which had been severed, and that was found a little ways away.
Wow.
That's why they thought maybe this is connected with black magic, because they thought maybe somebody was trying to make the... is it the hand of death or something, where they hold the candle? But I'll get
this is
back
nuts.
down to that. So people came forward with their own stories. Some said they'd witnessed a murder of the dead lady, while others believed it to be a case of witchcraft. One of the most widespread theories was that the deceased lady was in fact a German spy who had been killed on her mission in England. The case today stands at over 80 years old, and there's still no concrete evidence as to who killed Bella or who she in fact was.
Purple Valkyrie, has there ever been a dramatization, or is there a documentary on this event that we can watch? Because I would like to check this out. I really would.
There is indeed. So a couple of years ago, I believe now, there was a documentary done. It's probably the most in-depth that's ever been made, and it really went into all the forensics and tried their best to try and piece together who this woman could have been. As I said, this was the skull, and this, funnily enough, has actually gone missing. All of her remains disappeared in 2017.
This is witchcraft, then. That's what this is. This is witchcraft. Come on. I mean, either that or it's like Bill Gates' aunt. You know what I mean? It's either one of the elite's relatives who was a Nazi spy. Like, oh, I'm not going to say that name. This is just outside. So this is Halesonian. If anybody knows the West Midlands, you'll know where this is. So this is Hagley Wood, and the tree's in the middle of Hagley Wood. Question, where is this in relation to Winnie the Pooh's 100-Acre Wood?
You thinking there might be bodies stuffed inside the 100-Acre Wood as well?
I'm just saying. Eeyore went off on a bender. It's a possibility. I've never heard of this story before, Purple Valkyrie. I honestly have never, and I definitely want to watch a documentary on this. What are you leaning towards? Having seen this documentary and knowing about this, what is your gut telling you about this? That tree is creepy as hell.
It's a freaky looking thing, and it stands out from the rest of the trees in the wood as well. It kind of stands alone, and wych elms do. Apparently, you don't get a lot of them in close proximity to one another, but the Salt is absolutely right. If you're going to find a body stuffed into a tree, it's going to be one that looks like this thing.
Your chat has been absolutely on fire. Some of the comments out there, especially about Cameron Pasha and wanting to talk about woo-woo, you're not wrong. That's a lot of the reason why I like doing this show with Purple Valkyrie and Zax and other people when we have a chance is, you all may have noticed I'm making content regularly now. It grinds you down to talk about the shit-tastic things that are coming out of Hollywood. And now I'm working on what's probably going to be a 7-part series, including both streaming and movies, of what's coming out in 2023. Let me get my magic 8-ball. Hold on. Outlook does not look good. I'm just going to say that. So, yeah. Hail, Zax. I shouted you out, buddy.
And a big thank you to Zax and D-Bud for putting those links out. It was a great show. And Daniel is absolutely correct. He's got the documentary. It's Who Put Bella in the Witch Elm? The Untold Secrets. It's from 2017. I would recommend it. I think it's a pretty good documentary. Okay. And what I would lean towards would be none of the above, actually. I think she was probably just an unfortunate woman who was killed. The other story that they think might have been the case is that she was perhaps a prostitute that got sadly dispatched, and then her body was hidden. But people really do like the whole idea that she was maybe this spy for the Germans.
I got to tell you, I've played a lot of Grand Theft Auto and killed a lot of hookers in that game, but I never cut their left hand off. So whoever did that back in the 40s, that was straight up gangster. And that was a joke, of course.
And when she was found, police think that she'd been there for probably about 18 months. And as it says here, there was a small patch of rotting flesh on the forehead with lank hair attached to it. The 2 front teeth were very crooked. And that's why they thought originally that they would have no problems identifying her because her teeth were so bad.
It is England, though. It is England. So. I went there. I don't care. I'm an animal.
So this is what they came up with. So she had a noticeable irregularity, front teeth on her lower jaw. She had brown hair. She was about 5 feet tall, and she was wearing dark blue striped knitted boarding cardigan, light blue belt. She was around about 35 to 40, they think. She had a fake wedding ring on her hand, which was apparently worth 2 and 6. Don't ask me what that is in real money. I would have to work it out. Not a lot.
More than the American dollar, thanks to Joe Biden. we can all agree on that, guys, right?
And then she had a skirt and a taffeta underskirt on as well. So she was kind of modestly dressed, I guess, that she hadn't been undressed, and she also had a piece of the taffeta skirt that had been stuffed inside her mouth, and that's what he said killed her. She actually suffocated. So it says he further said that the woman was about 35 at the time she died. She was 5 feet tall with crooked front teeth, brown hair. The victim's mouth was also stuffed with a scrap of taffeta that suffocated her.
And they cut her left hand off.
Yes. And the left hand.
Completely ignorant. No basis for this, but I'm going to go with Satanism on this one. I really am, because there's absolutely no reason to amputate somebody's left hand. It is not as easy as you think. Mm-hmm. You would need at least 3 people. You could maybe do it with 2, someone to hold the other person's arm out and someone to cut the hand off. If you try and cut someone's fucking hand off, they're going to pull away. And I don't care. What do you got, a cutlass? Cutting through the bones, there are 27 bones in the wrist. Mm-hmm. I think there's 16 bones in the wrist, 27 bones in the ankles. So you have these are metacarpals. I know, because I broke them and it sucks. And down in your feet, you have metatarsals. So cutting through all those bones and cartilage is not an easy thing to do. It is not. So that's why I'm saying there was more than one assailant. And if there's more than one assailant, why are 2 people cutting some chick's arm off in 1940s? Could it be the Nazi stuff? Maybe. But I'm going to go with crazy black magic stuff. Chat, let's see what you think.
Funnily enough, it actually gets weirder, because as it said, then came the cryptic messages around Worcestershire. So this is a monolith that is out on some ground. So this is one of the first messages, and this has been reoccurring ever since. You will see this around Birmingham, around the surrounding areas. It will be this sentence, who put Bella in the witch elm? Sometimes it's spelled witch as in witchcraft, sometimes it's spelled with the Y as in witch elm. But this, I think the last time that this was actually seen was back in 2016. So we haven't seen it since, or people just haven't noticed it being put there since.
I'm with, and you got a super chat there, Purple.
Oh, thank you.
But I'm with, the answer is Ms. Clinton. Yeah, maybe this is good old Hilda Beast's one of her relatives. She learned it from somebody. Billy too.
And we've also got an answer from Snorter Poopers. It says 2 and 6, which is Big Spender, which is 12.5 new pence. Thank you. Thank you, honey. So it's 2 shillings. Yeah.
Sure. I have no idea what the hell that means. Can I buy a cup of coffee with that or no?
No, you can look at the coffee for that. And let me say thank you to Zombie Box Reviews. Great to see you. Good evening. Hail Purple Valkyrie, hail Salty. Hope you two in the chat had a wonderful Christmas. We did indeed. Thank you. I hope you guys did as well.
Yeah, that was a lot of fun. Thank you so much for the super chats, Zombie Box Reviews. Thank you much for your humor and for putting up with this karaokeing. That was a blast. None of us intended to do any of that. We just kind of roll with it. And those are the best shows. You know, you just go and you hang out with your friends and you try and bust your friends up. And those are the best shows. So thank you very much.
Thank you, Salty, and thank you to the chat. You guys were amazing on those shows, and it was so good to see so many people jump from show to show, because I think we did 3 in a row, and it was great to see everybody.
We did. That was fun, and we want to do more of that, where we sort of spread the love out. You know, some on Purple, some on mine, some on Steve's, some on Nerdporial, some on Zach's, other people's channels, just to bounce around. You know what I mean? Get to know other people and other content creators. So yeah.
And Gray got to 1K on his show, which was really cool. We love that.
It's funny. I was actually out driving around, and Gray's like, whenever I read Gray's text messages, I always hear his voice. Do you know what I mean? Like, he's very proper and very Gray, very Wakazishi. It's like, Salty mate, I don't mean to be a bother, but can you give me some advice on something? So then I'm on my iPhone and I'm driving in the car. I'm like, what do you want? Because that's what I do to my friends. But anyway, he got accepted. It's been finalized. Gray got accepted first try by the YouTube monetization system. He set it all up. He has to complete all the complicated nonsense in the back where YouTube has to steal 30% of what you make, and then the government gets to steal essentially the rest. So he's filling out that paperwork. But again, very well earned. Gray of Wakazashi's Tea House. Please give him a sub. Really, really nice guy.
You won't regret it. So let me wrap this one up, and I'll just go through a couple of the potential theories. So as we said, Bella was possibly a sex worker who was killed by her own community. Some people also claim that she was a barmaid who was killed by an American soldier. That one is unlikely. Bella could also have been a homeless woman who had no family. She supposedly wandered off into the woods and fell into the trunk.
And somebody chopped her effing arm off. This is like, all those things are possible. I think all of those things are more than possible. And then you get to the chopped her left effing hand off part.
Yes.
Okay.
And it was most certainly severed. It wasn't like it rotted off and fell. It was found several meters away, and there was clean cuts on the bones. So somebody had removed it for some reason. Then we've got Bella was a German actress who turned into a spy. So they think maybe it was this lady here. So according to a declassified M1 M15 file, God, English is hard. Clara
M16. Sorry.
Close enough. Clara Bowley was supposedly Bella. She was a German actress and singer who was recruited as a spy by the Third Reich during the outbreak of the Second War. She was dating a German spy by the name of Joseph Jacobs. In 1941, Jacobs was apprehended by the Allied forces. They then discovered a picture of her inside his wallet. He then told them that she was a spy sent to the West Midlands. Okay. In 1941, this theory was ruled out when they found that she was in fact 6 feet tall, whereas Bella was 5 feet tall. And she was also found dead back in 1942 in Berlin in a hospital. So not at all her. But I like the angle. People love a good story. Another one was Una Mossop. She was the wife of an RAF pilot who claimed that her husband Jack had killed Bella with his Dutch friend. Whatever. She told the police that both friends were drinking in the nearby bar where they picked up the drunken woman.
This needs to be made, and I'm going to write. We need to copy this, and I want to do a treatment for this. And Adega, I may be reaching out to you. I'm going to pitch this, and I'm going to reach out to Cameron because this shit writes itself. Imagine this, if you will, a Netflix show where it has all of these possibilities as to who that woman was. And depending on what alternate reality you're in, all of these things could have happened. All of them.
Okay.
Isn't it trippy?
That's
you could have all of those things. And then at the end, essentially, something happens, and then you kind of find out, or you're kind of left wondering which was the true timeline. This is the kind of smart entertainment that we need. We don't need boys pretending to be girls in dresses. So we don't need that. We don't need shitty girl boss diversity shit shows written by people who hate the source material. We don't need that. And we don't need shows to tell us about how there's too many people on the planet and they all need to eat bugs and know nothing like it. We need shows like this because it makes your mind work. That's one of the things I loved about Dark. And I always say this, but thank you, Zach, for making me watch that show. I recommended it to my brother. He's watching it now. He loves it too. Watch Dark if you haven't already seen it. It is a mind-bending sci-fi time travel thing. And I can see a story like this absolutely be taken down that same path. I really, really can.
Yes, and this is a story that I knew, I grew up with, but just kind of going into it, it's refreshed my memory about some of the things that they think happened. And because this is 80 years old, and now that her skeleton and remains have gone missing, in quotations, we probably will never find out who this woman is, sadly. But the last one, and one of the more popular ones, according to Professor Margaret Murray, who was an anthropologist, Bella's death seemed more likely to have been a witchcraft ritual. She was convinced that Bella was killed whilst performing a black magic rite, as her hand was missing and she was hidden inside a tree trunk. Margaret said the body of the victim of black magic sacrifice is never buried and the victim's hands are often cut off. Police denied Margaret's statements. They counterclaimed that the hand was displaced by wild animals and that had nothing to do with black magic.
You got a chipmunk running off with a whole left hand? I don't think so about that. And the other thing is signs of animal predation. Animals do not go after tough things with tendons. They go after the eyes, the ears, the eyelids, the lips. They go for the easy win. They go for easy things. When you talk about trying to chew off a hand, again, all the bones, all of the bones and all of the tendons that connect it in here, the metacarpals that are in your wrist, this is no joke. That's why you often see skeletons with their damn hands still attached, because the tendons tend to turn to leather. Now, I understand it's rainy, dark, gray AF England. I get that. But you guys don't have
predators. Yeah, exactly.
You guys don't have bears. You don't have bears. You don't have mountain lions and shit like that. I mean, like, again, how do you sever a human hand?
Badgers, none of those really climb trees.
I mean, I know we're not talking about Gina Carano here, okay? She's a little woman with really bad teeth in the 40s. But in order to sever a hand, you have to have one person wielding a blade, at least one person much larger, holding her arm out straight, and then pray to God the guy with the blade actually chops her effing hand off and not yours, because she's jerking away. It's just the mechanics of this, and it's not because I've done it before, just thinking about it, okay? I'm leaning towards black magic, and not because I need to make shit up. It makes the most sense to me. It really does, Purple.
I think you're probably right. Somebody, whoever did this to her, clearly didn't want her to be found. And it is a fascinating story. And then you've got the tie-in with the graffiti that continued for 80 years. People writing the same message over and over again in different places, on walls, on trees, on the monolith, which they didn't want to remove because the monolith is actually very fragile. Porous. And they didn't want to chip it up. So you will see occasionally it will pop up. I don't think it's been, as I said, seen since 2016, but who knows? Maybe somebody again will write on a wall somewhere around the West Midlands who put Bella in the witch elm.
As long as it's not Bella from Twilight, because that chick can't act. So 2022 was not just a year of giving up on all things Marvel and entertainment. It also was a really weird year for inconvenient archaeological discoveries. Now, this article comes to us from All That Is Interesting. It was published on the 23rd of December. You all can read the article, 11 archaeological discoveries in 2022 that left even the experts in awe. So let's go through them. There is some crazy stuff. This is from around the world. So the oldest known English gold coin in Canada was discovered in Newfoundland on November 22nd. This is news. A medieval gold coin was found in Newfoundland, and it may be the oldest of its kind ever to be found in the country. It was unearthed by a local metal detectorist, and this coin had Henry the Sixth, and it was a noble quarter that was minted in London at some point between 1422 and 1427, which means this damn coin, the earliest that it could have been here would have probably been 1428. What would a gold English coin be doing in Newfoundland in 1428 at the earliest? When did Columbus supposedly sail to the New World? 1492, Go Team Colonizer. So this makes it several decades older than other historic coins that have been unearthed in Canada. The earliest one before that was from the 1490s, which again corresponds with 1492 in Columbus.
Indeed. And I see that line at the bottom. It says this may end up rewriting the history books, and we all know that they hate doing that.
Trust the experts. 2 weeks to slow the spread. It doesn't change your DNA. Eating bugs is fine, except for it's actually a toxic poison. This is the coin they found. This damn thing was in the mud in Newfoundland.
Okay, that's beautiful.
I can do math. For almost 600 years.
I've got worse coins in my wallet at the moment that are more banged up than that thing.
Yeah.
It's amazing.
Yeah, I hate what they've done to our American coinage. It's just cheap shit, especially the pennies. They're using zinc now because copper's too expensive, because our pennies are no longer worth enough to be minted on copper.
Speaking of which, we've got a super sticker. If I can just grab
cheers.
that. Let me say a big thank you again to Zombie Box Reviews. Thank you so much. He sends us a £20 super sticker, and it's the pair. It says, "Thanks for being you." Well, thank you. Thank you for being you as well. We really appreciate that.
We're both even more fun after a few drinks, but thank you very much. I love those super stickers. Those are awesome. And thanks to the chat for being here. Like every time we go live, I say this, and you don't think I believe it. Purple Valkyrie's like, no one's going to show. Oh, wait, I got to do English. No one's going to show up, Governor. Wow. They don't like what we do. Oh, you like that, Cockney? And I'm like, no, people love you, and they put up with me, and they love this show. So
I'm going to take a point away for the British accent, but he's correct. He is very correct. And says that's a gold milk bottle top.
Obviously. This is why you're not an archaeologist, dude. So historians, this is what they do in academia. There's a lot of this and a lot of knob polishing to get tenure. Historians have debated for years who discovered or rediscovered the Americas. Most are aware of Christopher Columbus' journey in 1492. I've known since the 80s, when it was a theory that the Vikings had been there a lot sooner. Of course, Leif Erikson. There are settlements all along Newfoundland. They settled in Greenland until the climate changed. The entire climate of the planet changed in the early Dark Ages, and this was before we had cars, and we had almost 8 billion people on the planet, and before we ate meat, and all the other horse shit the lying globalists are telling you and using YouTube and Google to spread. The Vikings went everywhere, and the question is, what were the sea levels like then? It's very fascinating because the sea level rose so that the continental shelf from where it was 400 feet, but it didn't happen overnight. So it would be really interesting to see that. So yeah, Leif Erikson would have been in North America 4 centuries before Columbus did in 1492. So, yeah. That's another discovery before Mama Susan takes away Purple Valkyrie's channel because I'm speaking too much truth.
I've a little bit too much to think there, Salty.
Oh, I know. Yeah. So this is interesting. And Purple Valkyrie, I'm going to rely on your Goonie fandom depth of knowledge because I know you love this show. So timber from the shipwreck that may have inspired the Goonies movie has been unearthed in Oregon. So the Goonies movie, obviously, this is a Steven Spielberg's film that came out in 1985. It was a treasure hunting movie and possibly inspired by the tales of a mysterious shipwreck off the coast of Oregon. Archaeologists this month in December announced that they found timber from that wreck. Now, the wreck dates back to the 17th century and has been called the Beeswax wreck. For years, beachgoers near Manzanita, Oregon, have found chunks of beeswax all along the coast. Now, having walked a lot along that coast out in the Pacific, that's really weird. I can tell you that. I've seen seals washed up with their heads bit off. I've even seen a baby orca that was attacked by other things. I've seen these things. You will see crazy things washed up, not to mention stuff from China that's floated over.
It still does. Yes.
It still does. And then, of course, there's feet that keep washing down from British Columbia, but they don't talk about that in the news. It's a real thing. Anyway, we're talking about this wreck that inspired Goonies. Many locals believe the beeswax came from this 17th century wreck. In 2020, a beachcomber alerted the Maritime Archaeological Society about timber he found in a cave. Now, there's the dude. Check it out.
That's kind of awesome.
Beeswax. He's holding a 17th century artifact of beeswax from a shipwreck. This is nuts. Look at this.
That's weird. No, I've heard of shipwrecks and people finding what's called ambergris, which is from the inside of whales being washed up, because that's supposed to be worth its weight in gold because it's used in perfumes. But I've never heard of beeswax.
This particular hunk was found in Oregon in the 1950s. It's trippy. So the Maritime Association had long suspected that the Spanish galleon Santa Cristo del Burgos had wrecked off of Oregon in 1693 while sailing between the Philippines and Mexico. Not a lot of people know that. The Spanish were all the way up here and came along what is now called the Strait of San Juan de Fuca between the Olympic Peninsula of Washington and southern BC and Vancouver Island. There are several places named after Juan de Fuca and other things like that. Well, they examined this timber and it was revealed that it was Asian wood cut down around 1650. This is nuts. And some dude just found this in a cave. Even though researchers are thrilled with the discovery, they're eager to find out the rest of the vessel that inspired Goonies. We haven't found the wreck yet, but we don't know if it's even going to exist. I think at this point, given the wave power, the amazing storms that come off the Pacific, the fact that the shipwreck is 400 plus years old, you're lucky to find wood like this, really.
You'll probably find more, but it'll be in very small chunks by this stage. Unless it is hidden inside a cave like the Goonies.
Yeah. Let's see. They found an ancient Greek amphora found by Ukrainian soldiers who were weighed down by the billions of dollars stuffed in their pockets, given to us by the idiots of my government. They were, of course, digging trenches to bury all the money that they stole from us by our asshole politicians who are bankrupting my country. Anyway, the most exciting, interesting... Go ahead, Purple.
If you plant it, does it grow?
I don't know. All I know is that asshole showed up, Zelensky, and he needed like all this money. And then everybody's like, oh, well, let's wave a Ukrainian flag around in the middle of my own capital of my country. Liars and treason. So most archaeology news of 2022 was uncovered by archaeologists, but in the Ukraine, soldiers digging trenches in Odessa during the supposed Russian invasion came across an incredible discovery. It was a trove of ancient Greek urns or amphora that date from the 4th or 15th century BCE. So that would be 4 to 5 centuries before the birth of Christ or the year Zero. Soldiers of blah, blah, blah. Anyway, in May of 2022, they found these and transported these amphora and other ceramic fragments to the Odessa Archaeology Museum for safekeeping. Yeah, whatever. Ukrainian, yeah, I don't need to hear about Ukraine. Whatever, it's all bullshit. Yeah, the discovery shines a fascinating light on the history of Odessa, and because these date to 400 or 500 years before the birth of Christ, or BCE. They were likely made hundreds of years after the first Greek settlement was constructed in Odessa. Now, these amphora first occurred in the Bronze Age, at least what we like to consider the Bronze Age, some 3,000 years ago. Ancient people used these urns for various purposes. Some put wine in them, some put cereals and grains to keep rats out of them. What's that?
So they were like ancient
Tupperware.
Yeah.
It's ancient Tupperware. Yeah, and again, I think this was technology and ceramics work and clay work that was a reboot when our civilization got our species almost got eradicated by multiple major asteroid hits 11,600 and 12,800 years ago. I firmly, absolutely believe that, and this was just a retelling and a recycling of technologies. So that's fascinating stuff. And we'll do one more, Purple Valkyrie. We can save it for another time. So
can I just shout out
please
Daniel,
tell me to shut up. It's your show.
Sent a member chat. So big thank you to Daniel, who's been with us for 8 months. He said, I'd still watch Purple, even if I'm a ghost. Oh, thank you, Daniel. Appreciate you.
Sorry, I was busy typing in the private chat, but I need you to, I'll be back in 30 seconds.
Yeah, absolutely. Guys, a huge thank you. My apologies for missing it first time. I don't know why, but every streaming platform that we have, whether it's StreamYards or Melon or any of the others, they never show the member chats. So my apologies, I have to kind of skip back and check, but thank you. I really appreciate that, guys. You are pretty darn awesome. Let's see what you guys are saying in the chat. So, Ronin Rakatur says, I can't steal what's freely given. This is true. Great to see you. Let's see. TZ Button, hello to you. Says Port Andrews is on the Washington side and Victory is on the British Columbia side. You are absolutely correct. Nosferatu, oh honey, it says that wasn't a baby orca being attacked, Salty. It was me body surfing.
I didn't want to say it. I didn't want to say it. If you want to out yourself, you can, but don't say that I did that to you, because you did that to yourself, buddy. All right.
What else have we got? It says a Roman service station, indeed. Discovered in southern England.
I'm busy trying not to choke while drinking water. Thanks for forcing me to drink real quick. Oh, the ancient Roman service station discovered in southern England. What the hell are they talking about? So from Oxford, the Department of Archaeology expected to do a routine evaluation of some land in Bishop's... How the hell do you say this? Stortford? Herefordshire? Does that sound right, Purple?
Yeah, Bishop Stortford in Herefordshire. Yes.
Does that mean anything to you?
No, not a lot. It's just outside.
Okay. So anyway, they wanted to build a soccer field, and they were doing a routine excavation. So while doing this, they unexpectedly made a major archaeological discovery. Again, this all happened in 2022 when they determined that an ancient Roman trading post had once stood on the site they wanted to build the football field. To their delight, archaeologists found evidence of a once bustling service station from around the 1st century CE. They uncovered evidence of an ancient inn, a blacksmith shop, and a temple, as well as metal items like pots, Roman coins that dated back to the reign of Emperor Nero. So already you already have more world building that they found in the ground than was done by the Wheel of Time or the Rings of Power. I hate the world. Archaeologists, look at this. They didn't even have to go that deep. And they're finding foundations of an inn and a blacksmith shop.
I don't know if it says, but how did they differentiate it being a service station, as they put in quotations, to being a very small village? Because what you just read out to me sounds like a small village, with the blacksmith. It's got a shop. It's got everything that you would think a small settlement would need.
I'm glad you asked. The article is going to answer, quote, for such a small area, the sheer quantity of archaeology and the amount of finds is more than what you would find in an urban center like London, really, said Oxford archaeologic I can speak. Oxford archaeologic damn it. The project manager, Andrew Grief from Oxford, raved about the surprise discovery. Quote, it's definitely significant. You don't get very many opportunities to excavate roadside settlements along the lines of major routes. So that's why they're calling it as a service station or a rest stop. Essentially, this probably would have been between garrisons if we're looking at the 1st century CE. So this would be just kind of like a, obviously you were on foot. There were bandits. Maybe if you were lucky, you had a horse. All right. You could die of like anything back then. And this would have been like the swank place to go. And really, if you've played Dungeons and Dragons or any RPG, this is like, oh, well, no big deal. This is your common Dungeons and Dragons town. Well, this really would be your prototypical Dungeons and Dragons town, if you think about it.
Yeah, this would be your starting point on a campaign. Yes, this would be where you'd go to get your get sent on the right track.
So in addition to finding the inn and the blacksmith shop and the other stuff, they also discovered numerous military weapons, the remains of ancient livestock, and a cemetery from either the 3rd or 4th century that was filled with nearly 90 graves. So that's trippy because the original foundations of this were from the 1st century CE, which meant that this was a functioning little village or hamlet for 300 years in this spot, because the cemetery is filled with bodies from the 3rd or 4th century. So it is interesting because you get scope and scale on some type of a discovery like this. Again, archaeologists called this a once in a lifetime find. Stuff we have more. Next show we do, I'm going to cover them, but this was all just found this year, so there is good news out there, and there's people doing more than just trying to come up with genetic therapies to destroy your immune system. They're actually doing some real science out there, just not at NASA looking for.
And these are the sort of things we need to be told about. It's similar to the first story we covered. They just don't want to talk about these amazing discoveries that we're finding because they don't want to go back to the past.
They don't want human history. They don't want you to have a gender, a cultural identity, a national identity. They don't want you to have that. They don't want a nuclear family. It goes against their interests. It really does, as George Carlin would say. So that's why I love reading about these things. I really do. I love finding this stuff. So thanks for letting me go off.
Well, thank you. I'm looking forward to covering the second part because I'm really curious now what else they've discovered, because none of these
awesome stuff
I knew about. Have we got time for one more short one since it's nearly
all
right,
sure. I didn't. We could do that. Please, it's your show. Just tell me.
I'm going to run through these because some of them are silly, but some of them are fun. So I thought,
I'm excited.
15 best New Year superstitions that could bring you a bit of good luck in 2023. And God knows, I don't know about you, but I could do with it. So what do they say? So when the clock strikes on midnight December 31st, you know what's supposed to happen, right? A kiss. You blow horns, you have a party, you do all that fun stuff. But what do they recommend? So number one is obviously, and most people will do this, they will give a kiss. Everybody likes to kiss it.
Look at Snowdub talking about kissing Snowdub live. I wish you could kiss me for midnight. And by that, I mean Jolly the puppet. No gay stuff. Hi, Snowdub.
Where's Snowdub? I don't see him. Okay, he hasn't popped.
This is what I do. I derail the show. I'm gonna shut off. Jesus Christ!
I was about to grab him, and I can't find him. Help! Oh my God, kissing! Yes, please. That's always good. This one's kind of weird. I've heard this before. You eat 12 grapes, no more, no less, at midnight. I kind of like the way they've done this. So if you're gonna have it with a glass of champagne.
Question. Yeah. Can you eat 12 olives in a martini? Because I could do that New Year's Eve. I can do that. New Year's Eve.
I couldn't because I hate olives.
Oh well, I'll eat your olives because I'm actually helping out a friend of mine. She asked me to help because she has a restaurant she oversold, and she's like, "Can you come and help me?" So your man Salty's going to be bartending yet again. on New
Nice.
Year's Eve, and I'm looking forward to that because it's a lot of fun to work with your friends. So I'm looking
That
forward to helping
is going to
out.
be awesome.
I eat all the
But-
olives though. Yeah.
Yes, well, maybe you could do like they've done here with the olives, just put them on a skewer. But yeah, it says 12 at midnight, one for every month, and it's supposed to bring you good luck.
I didn't
So
know that.
3 is keep some extra cash in your wallet.
Yeah,
1,
that's
2,
called bail money. That's called bail money. It's New Year's Eve. Hello.
or tips, yes. So it says don't loan any money on New Year's Eve or New Year's Day, and don't start the year with any unpaid debts. So it's a good idea to have a little bit of cash on you. It always is. 4, it says fill up the cupboards. Again, very similar to the previous ones. It's considered bad luck to start with bare cupboards. It's a sign of poverty and hardship. So keep those doors and cupboards.
It's also a sign of Joe Biden's America. Let's be really honest about it. And I don't know that whatever diverse guy that nobody actually voted for to be your prime minister that got installed by the assholes that in the mythical world government that what he's doing to your country too. And I know you got blackface Justin up north doing the same damn thing there. Yeah, look at the price of coffee. Look at the price of food. It's I don't need to tell you what it is, but yeah.
I found Snowdub. Yay.
You're going to regret that later. You should have just... He's not Sasquatch. He tries, but he's not Sasquatch. We love you, Snow.
And let me say hey to Sheil Wally says, in quotations, I'll eat your olives.
Oh, is that no gay stuff, dude? But, I like it. I like olives, but thanks. Yeah, I'm good.
Number 5 says open the doors. Now, this one I did know about. This is a very old superstition, especially in the UK. So just before midnight, you let out the old year and welcome in the new one.
I didn't know that one.
Yes. Another one, don't clean. Well,
I got that one covered. This one I got.
If I'm hungover, I'm not going anywhere near a vacuum cleaner. So that one's absolutely fine with me. Number 7, I'm guessing this is for you guys. So fill up on collard greens and black-eyed peas.
I've done this. When I lived in North Carolina, I had a then girlfriend who was from rural eastern North Carolina, and the collard greens cooking do not smell good. But it is a tradition. I've done it. I think it's a wonderful thing, but it's part of the rich history that we have here in the United States when we had not just a national identity, but we had regional identities, and we had sub-regional identities, like what they did in eastern North Carolina with vinegar-based barbecue versus western North Carolina with tomato-based barbecue. But that's all just racist now, and we all just need to eat bugs. And
yes, throw some bugs in there. Absolutely. It's good for you. Yes. Number 8 says avoid the tears, so don't start off in New Year feeling sad. Number 9 is skip lobster, so you may want to rethink any fancy dinners. New Year's Eve.
Shit. I'll eat what I want. If there's a lobster and I run it over with my
luck.
car, I'm eating it. Oh my God. I never heard this.
Waste not.
What do you guys... Purple, what do you guys eat in the UK? Is there a dish that you eat on New Year's Eve or New Year's Day? Because you've been educating me on all this stuff, like Christmas and everything else. Is there something that you guys do?
For us, it's usually we would do like a buffet, so it will be kind of party food and that sort of thing. Or if there's any turkey left over, it'll have gone into a curry or something like that. It'll be making use of food that we've already had, but. Yeah, I've never had lobster on New Year's, even though I guess it's a party food.
Bad luck?
Yeah, it's bad luck.
Bad luck?
Bad luck, yeah. Number 10 says don't leave the house until somebody enters first. So in Scotland, the person that enters the house first is also supposed to bring you a gift. So bear that in mind. Anybody going round to somebody's house on New Year's,
herring.
Bring a bottle. 11, eat herring, whether you like it pickled or fresh. Eating some at midnight is considered good luck in Germany and Sweden.
My grandfather used to do that. He got this big vat of pickled herring, and he would mix it in sour cream by himself. And when you're a little kid, you don't know what the hell anything is, and that you're supposed to think things are gross. So I grew up from a very young age loving pickled herring and sour cream. So that one we did within my family, and I think it's a great tradition. Really do.
That's a good one. I like that idea, I've got to admit. Number 12, obviously, is make some noise, which everybody does at New Year. Everybody sets off fireworks. Everybody is shouting and saying
shooting guns.
New Year, shooting guns, yes.
They were shooting them off on Christmas too. I'm cool with that. I'm totally fine with that. But yeah, whether you're a moaner or a screamer, ladies, make some noise on
Make
New
some
Year's Eve.
noise and kiss. Indeed, that's what they say. So again, same with the lobster. Don't eat chicken. We're running out of things to eat. I'll eat what I like.
What? I'm not
14?
doing this. What the hell are they talking about?
Yeah, this one's weird. So this carry an empty suitcase around your house for a few minutes. It's supposed to set you up for a adventure.
This is Colombia.
Yeah.
So they're trying to get you to stay in constant training for smuggling cocaine. Got it. Okay, good to know.
If anybody who was born on New Year's Day, you're automatically lucky. Even more so if you're born at midnight. I don't know anybody born New Year's. I know a few people that were born Christmas Eve, Christmas Day. But
I don't know anybody.
Yeah.
I don't know any
That's
New
it.
Year's babies.
Okay.
I know. I went to school with one kid. Yeah, one kid was born on Christmas Eve. Another one was born on Halloween. A girl who was born on the 4th of July. But I know nobody that was born on New Year's Eve. My sister is a January baby, actually, but much later into January. So,
Trinoculus Peace, that's his mom was.
oh,
Nice.
Cheers.
That
Well
is
played.
cool. And
Those
Shield
were
Wolf said, yes, the Southwest America has a lot of guns getting shot off.
Amen. 2A, baby. I thought you were referring to all the thousands of flights that Southwest Airlines canceled, stranding people. You know, if you thought life couldn't get any worse, I've flown Southwest once because I was traveling for work and it was the only flight I could get. And I had to sit in a broken chair for 3.5 hours that wouldn't, that kept falling back against the person behind me. 3.5 hours. Okay.
How uncomfortable was that, giving how tall you are?
Bitchiest air waitress ever, I'm not even going to call him a stewardess or whatever the correct term is, got one of those bungee cord things, you know, and Jerry rigged it so that it sat up and didn't fall on the person behind me. The thing was, I couldn't actually sit against the seat that whole time, so I had to sit like this with no back support. And when you're 6'5" and the goddamn seat doesn't work already, and she's like, what do you want me to do about it? I don't know, put me in a seat that someone can sit in. And she's like, well, we don't have any more. And I was like, well, what about the one over there that the crew sits on that nobody's sitting in? You can't sit on that. Why? Because it's airline policy. So that's the kind of shit that makes Salty's head explode, where I'm like, and who cares? You know what I mean? Let's solve a problem. But that's the solution. That's why I'm a card carrying member of the patriarchy. Right there.
We've got Salty Not Traveling Sea. TZ Burton says Air Tavern Wench Salty.
Yeah.
Close enough.
I guess Air Slut. Nah, Air Tavern Wench works better. Yeah.
Tavern's great. Before we start to wind down and let people get on with the rest of the day, what have you got coming up? I know you put out a very funny video earlier today.
Well, the Indian subcontinent doesn't think so, but actually I'm dropping a pretty big series for the dealing with entertainment in the new year. It's a part 1 tomorrow. I'm going to be covering out what Rotten Tomatoes, I'll wait for you to finish laughing, what Rotten Tomatoes says of the top 35 movies coming out in 2023. If you loved 2022 entertainment, you're getting more of the same, if not worse, in 2023. So I'm actually going to do that in 3 parts because there's so much to cover. And then I'm going to be looking at the top new streaming shows that are coming out in 2023, according to the shill websites. Did you know we're getting a reboot of Time Bandits, much like we got a reboot of Willow? If you haven't seen the 1981, I think, is Time Bandits. David Warner is in there. A whole lot of people. Sean Connery is in that movie.
It's a great film. Yeah,
Terry Gilliam directed too. We're actually going to be covering that on Wakazashi's Tea House on Friday night. He has not seen that movie, so we're going to be covering that on Friday, going into detail. But they are doing what they've done to. I thank you, Em. I know. It's just screaming. That's the only response. But there's a lot of things coming out. I mean, obviously, when you look at the bar being lowered, Willow and now Blood Origin. I have really enjoyed heel versus babyface takes on that. That is as close to the show as I'm going to get. But so
Agreed.
yeah, anyway, I'm dropping that new video, just that's the first of 3 parts about the movies coming out in 2023 tomorrow. It'll be out about, I think, 11 a.m. Eastern time. Then, as I mentioned, I'm going to be on Zach Seven's channel for the 12-hour marathon of the 20th anniversary of the Two Towers. A lot of big YouTubers, a lot of people you know and love are going to be on that, including Purple,
Such a great
myself,
film.
other people like that. And then, of course, Gray's show on Friday. In addition, when I find time, we are going to continue watching The Wheel of Time Season 1, Episode 4 and 5. Those are the ones where your man Salty lost his shit in real time in my own reviews on my channel. Nerdporial has not seen the first season yet. He's only on Episode 3. And depending on how much he's had to drink, we will do Episode 4 or 5 sometime real soon. But Purple, as ever, it's a pleasure. Thank you for doing this show with me. Thank you for working with me. You and I first got in contact with each other back in February of 2022, and I told this story on the Christmas stream. I had just gotten monetized in December of last year, and I never thought somebody as big and awesome as Purple Valkyrie would work with me, and somehow I tricked her into it, and we've just been doing it ever since. So thank you very much for streaming with me and Zax and Steve and Nerdporial and everybody over in this little corner of the expanded fellowship.
My pleasure. Thank you. Thank you, Salt, for always bringing amazing content. Thank you for always proving me wrong week after week. And thank you to the chat. You guys are amazing as always. Thank you, Zax. Really appreciate that. All right, guys, please keep an eye out for those videos. Check out the ones that Salty has put out recently, because he's getting a little bit of hate.
I love good. Let the hate flow through you. Define Cordoban leather. Yeah, that was a throwaway. I'm like, nobody even gives a shit about M. Night Shyamalan anymore. But
it's not a pooper says we all know Salty bright purple with a Whataburger. True story.
I am neither confirming nor denying any of those allegations, Senator.
All right, guys, a huge thank you to my awesome co-host, as always, bringing the esoteric knowledge as he does. Thank you, Salty Traveling Sea. Guys, if we don't see you again, you probably won't see us doing woo-woo before the new year. So let me say a very, very happy new year. Hope you guys have a wonderful day. Hope you have a fantastic night. And I hope 2023 is kinder to everybody.
A damn sight better than 2022. Happy New Year's, everybody. Happy New Year, Purple Valkyrie. You all take care, be safe, and have a lot of fun, because that's what life's about.
Indeed. So, guys, thank you to everybody who sent super chats, stickers, and member chats. You guys are amazing. As soon as I can find my outro, I will leave you with the outro. There we go.
I can sing, should old acquaintance be forgot. Did you find it yet?